Welcome to Life Happens, where Texans come to protect their legacy and prepare for the second half of life. Join your host, attorney Kim Hegwood of Your Legacy Legal Care, and our weekly guest as we navigate the challenges that emerge as life happens. Now here's your host, Kim Hegwood.
Good morning and welcome to Life Happens with me, Kim Hegwood, and our very special guest today is Vanda Crossly. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And I'm sure it's going to be our listeners' pleasure as well as mine. But we're going to talk today, if you don't mind, something that I know you're very familiar with. And we're going to talk about senior placement services when a move is necessary. And we have a lot of families that are so conflicted over, when it's time, things like that. Should they, shouldn't they? That's just I think the guilt gets a lot of people a lot of times. So how can a family know when it's the right time to move someone to senior living?
It's basically a safety issue with the family, the older person, when they start leaving the stove on and walk away unattended, or they start wandering around, or if there's a two-story home and they never go upstairs, or if their bedroom is upstairs, it's a safety issue for them coming downstairs. So that would be a clue right there.
Okay, so it doesn't count against the grandson, right? He's 12, he put cookies in the oven, and he went running outside to play basketball. And I'm like, what? so,
My
and,
mother-in-law just did that the other day with putting some eggs on, and I went in there and there was no water in the
yeah,
pot. And she's in the room with the door closed, and she lives with us, so
uh,
we don't have to worry about that. But we do have to worry about it when you could, put the house on fire with us here. So
yeah. I did that a long time ago when I was pregnant with my oldest. Put eggs on to boil and then got sidetracked and went, oh man, a nap feels really good. And then I woke up smelling something really nasty. I'd burnt the bottom of the skillet. So, yeah,
boiling eggs.
yes. So, so when is it time, to move to assisted living or memory care? I mean, what's the first thing when families are thinking about that? What's the first thing that they should be thinking about?
Find some place that they can afford and that has the activities that the person likes. So if the person is into crocheting, make sure that the place that they go has some kind of crocheting activities or people that do that. If they're real active, they play tennis or something like that, then go to a place that has those kind of activities. So you want to find something around what the person already does.
Well, I didn't realize you could look that I can't. I'm thinking of the right word. I mean, that seems to be a very specific types of things, activities. And so, do most facilities kind of give you a list of what they can do, or do they provide that, or how does a client know? Do they have the how can I find out before I waste my time? you know, do they have the type of activities that I want?
So my daughter, Erica Crossly, has a perfect fit senior living placement. And so that's what she does. She interviews the person to see what they like, and she knows which facilities would fit them. She knows that they do activities. These people go to the casino. These people have a wine night on Friday night. So if that's something that a person likes, she would recommend that. And so for a person to go and do it themselves, it can be very laborious. You got to talk to the right person. The person at the desk is not going to always tell you that, but you have to talk to the activities director, the social workers there. And, just having a relationship with those people will help. So we kind of help place you based on your needs and wants and desires. So they all do the basics. They're going to help you get dressed. They're going to feed you. But are they going to feed you the kind of food that you like? Because everyone doesn't like, Jamaican jerk chicken, for example. Some people never had it. If you go to a place where they cook that often, that might not be the place that you want to be. You may want to be a place where they do, I don't know what other dish.
Chicken fried steak, mashed potatoes, green beans. See, I'm a good Southern girl. I like my basics.
And
so,
see, that wouldn't work for me because I don't eat like that. I like chicken stuff. So, I would want to go to a place that caters to more of what I like more so. So. Those
Yeah.
are important.
And so you have a unique designation that not a lot of real estate agents have, and it's called a senior real estate expert. And so, can you tell our listeners what is that?
So basically, I've had some courses in what a senior needs. We help with the downsizing because if you're going to move, you've been at a house for 30 years and now you're talking about moving into one room or a smaller house, one bedroom. That's a lot of processing to go through. You sometimes have to touch things 10 times before you actually get rid of them. I really don't need it, but and so we kind of help you with that process. We know that it starts with the mind, so we kind of get your mind ready to move and why it's good for your safety, and then we kind of help you throughout that whole process because it's a lot. It's a lot for someone to go through by themselves.
I think about, the things that I have in my house, so, what you would take, kind of thing. And I'm not real attached to a lot of things, but the ones that I am attached to, I'm real attached to. And so I've got a beautiful Thomas Kincaid, photograph. I have this beautiful photograph that sits above the fireplace that I bought. I saw it in a gallery in Utah, and it looks like waves. It looks like waves moving, like an ocean view, and like the waves are moving, and it's beautiful. And I'm like, it's very calming.
Hmm.
I walked into the gallery and it was the first thing I saw, and I went, oh, I found my happy place. And so, but those are kind of big. And so, it's not a real big picture, but it's a big picture. So is the other one. How how do you figure out when you've got, some things that are a little bit larger than you would like? I also have framed photographs in my office of different places I've been, travels, which I really like, which is why they're in my office. And so how do you figure out, can you put those? Because there doesn't seem to be in a lot of room when you're downsizing to assisted living, or memory care. So how do you help clients really kind of say, you can take one, what's it going to be? And so
Pick
how do you get,
one or two. You can't take them all. But now we have this great thing called a camera and we can put them online so we can make a slideshow of all your favorites, put them, give you a thumb drive and you can look at it all the time. You don't necessarily have to have that physical picture, but you can have it, digitally. And then it's important, of course, to let your family know the importance of it and why it's important. Because if something happens to you and you can't verbalize it, and they just look at it and say, oh, this old picture's been up here for years, we're going to get rid of it. But that's really your happy picture and your happy place. So your family needs to know how important that one picture is for you. So I would tell them that now while you can. But putting things digitally now is real big. So it kind of helps you downsize. I have a bunch of photo albums that I brought down with me, relocating from Chicago. And my family, they won't know these people. They don't know the significance of these older people. So if you don't tell them, they won't know. And then I'm just going to take pictures of them and put them in a digital folder someplace and let them know to show them to me. When I get old, just put those up on the slideshow on the TV so that I can remember. Because most times we don't go back to those books and look at them.
no, no, I've been scanning old photographs, so that way all the family can have the old photographs. And so that we can see, who the people are. And my sister was telling my mom, you have got to sit down and tell us who these people are, because we're not going to know if you
Yeah.
don't tell us, especially if they're older than my great grandparents, because them I recognize. That's about the last generation I knew. And so she was going to kind of have to force my mom to sit down and figure out who all those people were, so that way, you know, we can do something to either put it in the, on the slideshow so that you can say, yeah, this is who that was, and a little story, and, really trying to do, those sort of things, because, my children aren't going to, they have no idea who these people are. It's not as significant. And I think that generation is not as attached to family, like an older generation. And so, because family was like, I mean, when you went on vacation, you went to see family. It really wasn't a vacation. So,
Exactly. You went to visit family.
yeah, definitely. So,
Going on a beach in Jamaica and getting away from everybody. You were going to see people and that
yes.
you knew them. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I was already an adult before I ever made it out of Texas the first time, and that still wasn't for a vacation. It was to see family. so, so anyway, we digress. Uh, it's also my understanding that you're involved in the planning and development of a community that kind of fosters intergenerational living. I really want to know a lot about that.
That's my co-housing project. So I am big on family. And as I mentioned before, my mother-in-law, who's 85, she lives with us. She came to live with us when her husband died. They were married, I think they're married like 65 years. And I've been married 40 years now. So she lives with us.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I have two adult children, sometimes three, who live with me and a granddaughter. So we have a multi-generational household right now. And we relocated from Chicago, so we don't have a lot of other family here, but we have a good time with each other. But I also like incorporating other people who don't have family into our family, because I have several friends who do not have spouses and they don't have children. So, and then their family is in another state, someplace, and so they don't really have family. So we kind of take other people in as our family. And so I got the idea, I guess, during COVID. And I heard about co-housing. Have you ever heard of that term?
No, tell me more.
So there is a co-housing in Houston I think they'll be moving in this year. But it's a group of people who get together and they intentionally plan to live together. There's our condos, but then they have a common area. They're going to have a common kitchen area, a common place where they can have meetings and events and things like that. And they all know each other, know, like, and trust each other. So if Miss Smith didn't come down for dinner, and they have weekly meals together. It's mandatory that they have at least one meal together. So if Miss Smith doesn't come down for Sunday dinner, then somebody's going to go check on her and make sure she's okay, or take her some food if she just didn't want to come out. And so I like that concept. And so I come from a big family. We always got together on Sundays. And I said, well, why not do that here? So I talked to some people and they're on board as well. So yeah, just yesterday we went out to Bryan, Texas to look at 41 acres that we want to have this community concept out there. So I met someone who does cookies. She's a baker, and they also have a church, and they sell herbs and vegetables. So we'll have all of this on our property, and we'll also serve the public with what's left over. But this will be for our community, and that's the plan. That's my life's mission now. I'm 64 years old, so that is my life's mission. That's what I'm going to make happen.
There you go. That sounds like an awesome idea. My sister told me that make sure that that I kept an extra bedroom for her down the road. So we're probably, the middle sister and I are probably going to grow old together. And so, but yeah, that's fantastic. And so Vanda, if somebody wants to get in touch with you to learn more about being a senior expert, helping people downsize, your new community you're thinking about doing, how do they find you?
I'm at exprealty.com, Vanda.Crossly at exprealty.com. And my phone number, this is my cell number, 773-678-1085. Text me first, because my phone will reject if it doesn't know you unless you leave a message. But text me first, and I'll be happy to tell you more about co-housing and what I'm doing and how I can help seniors to adjust to the next chapter of their lives.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Vanda, for being on the show. I appreciate it immensely, and we look forward to having you on again soon, maybe with pictures of your new facility.
Yes, thank you, Kim. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Life Happens with Kim Hegwood. Be sure to tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. wherever you listen to your podcast as we navigate through the challenges that emerge as life happens. The content of this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship or constitute attorney-client privilege, legal, medical, financial, or any other professional advice.